Hello, beautiful people.
How's everyone doing?
I know many of you are thinking, wow, they're back with another video. Yes, we're back. We're on a good streak. This is our third video back to back. Every single week, we're showing up with a video. Every week, you guys.
And this is going to be a continuation of our Christ consciousness teachings, which we started last week. And it's just going to get juicier and juicier from here on out.
How's the volume on YouTube? You guys can hear us okay, Timon? Let us know. Always, please let us know if the sound is okay because we're using a mic. We want it to be optimal, not normal. So today, yes, we're going into talking to you about what's going on in our lives and how this is showing up in our lives, this oversoul embodiment that we talk about that we're going through. Guys, it's a very real process. It's a very physical process. How's the sound?
Let us know on TikTok if the sound's okay, you guys. Just comment and let us know sounds okay. It's nice to see you guys as well.
Amazing. So we're going through a very physical process of ascension. And one of the directives we're receiving from Prime Creator God, and we're being told that a lot of other teachers, way showers are being given the same directive, is to show up more often, show up more regularly, because we're literally being shown that the planetary timelines are moving faster than we imagined, faster. Like it's a great sense of rejoicement and like there's a lot of rejoicing energy going on in the higher realms. That's all we see. And it feels like the planetary timelines are being fast forwarded like never before. And we have a lot of people on the ground holding this frequency is how it feels.
I'm just going to check the mic volume to make sure it's fully turned on. Yep, input levels are pretty good.
Let us know if the volume is okay now. Some people say great, some people say low.
We'll bring the mic a bit closer.
So
Perfect.
every single one of you is really walking this path of ascension. Many of you may be new to this concept of ascension. Many of you may be new to these concepts of Christ consciousness and fifth dimension, and you may not know how to. It says, can you disconnect the mic, please? Let's try that. Okay, we're going to disconnect. Is the sound better now?
Does the sound better now or before?
Is the sound better now without the mic? How's the mic now? How's the sound now? We always go through this. Let us know, you guys. You like it better like this? How's the sound now? Hurry up! Sound is perfect now. Okay, excellent, good. Excellent. Thank you. So where was I? So all of us light workers on the planet, we're going through so much. Sometimes it literally feels like so much is happening so fast that many of us have lost track with who we were, who we are, who we're becoming, what's going on. What is ascension? Like, what is Christ consciousness? We're not going to go into it too deep here because this is all we talk about. Today, we want to really talk about something new that we don't usually talk about, and that's the oversoul embodiment process that we're going through. And that lies ahead for every single one of you. But in a nutshell, ascension is a process that every single soul goes through where literally, quite literally, our consciousness ascends out of the third dimensional consciousness bandwidth. And it evolves just like a caterpillar evolves into a beautiful butterfly. It goes through a chrysalis. It goes through a metamorphosis. Humanity goes through the exact same chrysalis and becomes a new species that's vibrating more in the fifth dimensional bandwidth of consciousness. Many of you know this as New Earth. Many of you know this as the fifth dimension. And all of humanity knows this, especially the light workers. We know something's coming. We know that there's like a new Earth. We don't know if one day like a dome will just be lifted off of Earth. And all of a sudden we realize that we're just part of something much bigger than this planet called Earth. There's many theories floating around, but one thing we are all rooted in our certainties, we know something big is happening. We know that this is the turning of the ages. We're moving through, we're finishing up the age of Pisces, which was all about war and suffering and darkness and Earth and humanity realizing the consequences of our own negative choices. And now, you guys, this incarnation, all of us, you, me, all of us, the light workers, we need to be so freaking proud of ourselves because we've made this incarnation. You know, when the angels talk to us, they're always telling us this. Even other beings, like from other planets, they say, we watch you guys like on our big screen TVs. What's happening on Earth right now is legendary. It's historic. It's huge. And with this oversoul stuff coming in so quickly, you guys, things are getting very, very, very real. So we're going to get into a whole bunch of all of this.
Yeah, this is something EldoRa and I are personally going through. This is what we teach in our channel, in our Ascension University. We teach all about the process of evolution. And Earth is a planet where souls come to evolve primarily. Earth is a planet where souls come to learn all the lessons of duality, separation, war, and which is all under the umbrella of 3D consciousness. And we come here to learn how to love ourselves and become one with the divinity that we all carry within our hearts. And this is a spiritual process. This used to happen in very organized fashion in the golden ages, in times of Atlantis and the golden ages of Egypt. They were literally mystery schools on Earth dedicated to the process of ascension, where students would dedicate their lives, spend great number of hours to harmonize their ego and begin to change their inner compass to align with the divine direction rather than their lower selves direction. And students used to learn how to quieten their mind, gain control over their emotions, purify their body, and get their Ka circuitry moving, get their Merkabahs online, all of the processes that we go through to evolve into a higher state of consciousness. There's a whole curriculum involved in this process. And this is what was happening on Earth 25,000 years ago, when we were still in a golden age where there was no war, there was no conflict amongst nations. Everyone was at peace for thousands of years, and Earth was moving as it was originally divinely planned. Earth was supposed to be a Garden of Eden, and there was not supposed to be all this struggle, strife, and war and enmity. Then Earth had a fall in consciousness where we forgot our ways. We forgot the ways of the heart. We forgot who we were. And we fell many, 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 many layers lower in the realms of lower consciousness. We went from unity consciousness, and we forgot who we were, and we fell into duality consciousness. We literally went from highly evolved beings who were aware of their God self, who were fully connected Adam Kadmon oversoul embodied avatars, and almost overnight, with the fall of Atlantis, almost overnight we went into the consciousness of a cave dwelling species. We lost all of our memories, and that happened because Earth was no longer able to hold the consciousness that we were holding in the times of Atlantis, of selfishness, of greed, of narcissism. So humanity kind of let their pride take over, and we forgot about the process of a spiritual ascension. We wanted to, instead of connecting with God, we wanted to become the gods. So our pride took over, and we said, yeah, we can do this whole Garden of Eden play on Earth, but we don't need God. That's where we made our fatal mistake. So we forgot our connection with God, and we had a fall in consciousness. And now, after 25,000 years, we haven't just been going through endless cycle of suffering for no reason. We've gone through all the lessons that a soul needs to climb to get back to the point where we can start to evolve again. And this isn't happening by random. Over the last 25,000 years, many galactic races, like the Syrians, Andromedans, Pleiadians, many advanced civilizations who have already ascended in their own home planets, are coming here to assist humanity to make the jump. They all have their own agendas to help us make the jump. But if Earth does not make the jump, it'll have fatal consequences for the universe. Because in the universal architecture, Earth is supposed to be a very, very precious resource. The planet Earth is a major stargate in our universal tree of life. The planet Earth is known as a planet full of resources, but its highest value does not lie in our natural resources or our assets that we consider valuable. The highest value on Earth is humanity. The human race is one of the most sought after races in the entire universe. And why is that? Because we were designed with the ability to hold God consciousness within our DNA. No other race has the ability to hold duality consciousness, where we can have very extreme emotions. We can go all the way from war and hate to love. Like, we have a whole wide range of emotions. But other races don't have such a wide range of emotions. They're very narrow in their bandwidth of feeling emotions and thinking. So this makes humans, our range of emotions and our DNA, which is contributed, which contains samples from 22 advanced species in this universe. Our DNA is considered one of the most valuable and one of the most versatile structures in this universe. Our body was literally designed as a vehicle of ascension. And we can become so powerful when we embody our higher self, and when we embody our oversoul, when we embody the divinity within. We can become so powerful that even angels like Lucifer, who was an angel, envied the human race. He became jealous of the human race because of our godlike abilities. We can become more powerful than angels because we have free will. Angels do not. So the human species right now, after 25,000 years, after going through all the stages of forgetfulness, is now at the cusp of a major jump in consciousness. And we are right now at this point on Earth where everyone's feeling numb, right? When you look around, people are just feeling so disconnected and numb. You're like, where's the love? Where's humanity? Why is everyone feeling like a zombie? And the reason is because our consciousness is evolving so rapidly right now that our mind, our human mind, has not caught up to what we have become. We've suddenly got a shock about there's something not right with the world. There's suddenly a mass awakening happening. COVID caused a mass awakening, and world events are causing a mass awakening. Suddenly there's an alarm. Oh my God, we didn't know there was so much corruption. We didn't know there was so much dirt under the carpet. Everything's coming to the surface.
And even people are losing relation with their religion. People are losing their relationship with their birth families. They're losing their connection with their 3D jobs. There's actually a mass hysteria right now that we can see on the planet that hasn't erupted yet.
Yeah, it's
That's
on the
how
cusp.
it feels
We're
like.
on the cusp of a great jump. And in the beginning, when so much great change occurs on a planet, usually the first reaction is violence and distrust with the authority. Usually people retaliate when there's so much change inflicted upon them in such a short period of time. And right now with AI, with crypto, with technology, with jobs being replaced, with so much changes happening, spiritual changes, technological changes,
robots,
earth changes, like earthquakes, everything is happening at the
solar
same
flares.
time because we are now at the end of the age of Pisces. It's supposed to be reaching a boiling point because the Aquarian energy that's coming in is literally destroying all the old structures that held us in the ego wave of consciousness. And now we're ready to jump into a higher self wave of consciousness. And then from the higher self, we're going to jump into oversoul wave of consciousness. And once we learn the ways of the heart, once we learn how to navigate the spiritual realms and gain mastery over our telepathic abilities, we start evolving very rapidly. There's an inflection point. At first, it's slow. You're like struggling uphill with your ego lessons, with your spiritual lessons. You're just not getting it. You think you're not good enough. You think there's something wrong with you. You think other people are more spiritual or more psychic. But eventually, we were like that too. We weren't always born gifted. But eventually, there comes an inflection point where your ego begins to dissolve, where all your trauma work pays off, where all your shadow work pays off. And suddenly a higher consciousness begins to come online that begins to change the way you see reality, the way you perceive reality very rapidly. And that's what we're going through. That's what many of you are going through. Even if it may feel like your world is crashing, it has to crash first before you get to this oversoul process. So our intention in this video is to explain the whole overview of this process and how it works. So you're not so confused, you know where you are in life and you know where you're going.
There's a lot to absorb there, you guys. So yeah, when I first got to understand this concept that we humans are actually so powerful, we're more powerful than the angels. We have the potential to go all the way, even past ascended masters, go into oversoul consciousness. It really is taking a moment to digest all of this. And so Siman and I are actually physically in this oversoul merging process right now. And so we wanted to come in and share what resistance is coming up, what challenges are coming up, how it feels in our bodies. But first of all, what God is telling us is all of a sudden these timelines have been fast forwarded. It almost feels like all of a sudden this oversoul Adam Kadmon architecture is able to come down from the higher realms and meet us. Like enough of us light workers have activated enough of our light. And there's enough of us who are actually holding the frequency of Christ consciousness and the fifth dimensional frequencies of the Garden of Eden, which literally is everything we're doing right now is to hold the frequency of the Garden of Eden all the time in our lives, 100%. Like Siman and I right now, we're constantly in our joy. And this happened as a result of our oversoul merger. So in this video, you guys are going to get an overview of how do you go from where you are today? How did we go from just where we were a few years ago to all of a sudden now we've made this jump. We've literally made a jump in consciousness. And it isn't as fancy as it sounds like, oh, wow, jump in consciousness. It actually brings up deeper layers of ego resistance. It brings up, if I had to explain to you very honestly what this feels like for me personally, I'll explain it with a story. Recently, somewhere I watched a video a few weeks ago where this person was talking about a near-death experience they had. And he said, I died, I had a near-death experience. My soul left my body. I went into heaven. And for a moment, I could see everything that happens after death. Like I was able to see the angel of death greet me. I was able to see the tunnel. I was able to go into the light. And when I reached the light, when I made my way to the light, by knowing that I am a soul, and it was almost like he said, I was relieved that I was dead. And he said, Jesus Christ came in. And in that feeling, like in that frequency, I felt God, I felt Jesus, I felt the heavens, I felt the higher realms. And yes, he was describing his conversation with Jesus because Jesus said, if you could go back to earth right now, what would you do if you went back? Like, what would you change now that you've experienced this dimension? But what I want to tell you today is not about that conversation, but how hard it was for that person to come back to earth after experiencing the God realm. So that's kind of what I'm going through. If I had to explain how it feels, all my life, I felt like I had this rule book. Like we have this inner compass, right? We have this inner compass. We know we are go-getters. We know we have to work hard to do this. We know that we follow whether getting good grades or follow, the ego discipline. You follow going to the gym. You follow a certain set of rules. You want to have a big following on social media so you can do God's work. You want to show up. You want your business to be success. So we're used to these parameters of living. Once the oversoul stuff starts happening and you become one with God, and we're going to talk about where you are and how to go there, but how it feels is you've all of a sudden merged with God. You feel one with God. And God is not a dictator. God is not a disciplinarian. Sometimes Metatron, when he was training us, he was still keeping us on with our discipline, with everything. He was on. Because Metatron, Archangel Metatron, who's our biggest mentor, helped us make the jump into this fifth dimensional consciousness so that we can now guide you guys to make this jump. But the biggest jump is happening right now where we are feeling so held by God that I'm having a hard time showing up to the world. I'm having a hard time leaving that feeling of bliss, of being held by God, of having no survival stress. Because recently what has happened with Siman and I is we've been disconnected literally from the Gregorian calendar. We've been literally disconnected from time. We've been disconnected from doing anything that's not God's directive. We were told to cancel or wrap up our entire mystery school, which we call the New Earth Mystery School, after 3.5 years. God said, wrap this up. This is no longer a part of your oversoul embodiment process. I need your time freed up. All of that sounds great. We let go of the income. We were making 30 to 40,000 a month USD through the New Earth Mystery School. We let go of that in blind faith that we knew God had a plan for us. And so now the plan is what we're revealing to you. So now the plan is everything is about the oversoul architecture coming online. And God said right now these codes have to be shared freely on YouTube, freely on TikTok, freely on Instagram, and they shouldn't be behind a membership. Because right now this oversoul information is really going to, guys, honestly, if I had to tell you what it feels like the dark night of the soul, and it feels like initiations you have to constantly jump through. So let me give you, I drew a little diagram based on what I'm going through. I'm going to try and explain what I'm going through. So the whole process of going from where you are today to embodying your oversoul is you have to understand this. And we're going to make a lot of videos so you guys can get the whole download. So basically right now you have to all recognize, and we're going to do a lot of advanced ego teachings. This is what Siman and I are master teachers of.
We're being guided to bring our Christ consciousness teachings and our ego teachings to our YouTube. And we're being guided that YouTube will become our primary mystery school for all of humanity.
And I love that. It feels so open, expansive in our hearts. So first, every single person right now of the 8 billion souls walking on the planet, they're in this phase, meaning they still haven't harmonized their ego. They are still ruled by these fake masks that they have on themselves due to society's programming. So think about it this way. Even before ego, if there was someone before this ego, who would it be? Any guesses? Who are you even before you are an ego? A child, the innocence of a child. So let's start from there. You're an innocent child, and then society programs you, conditions you. You get all of your insecurities, your superiorities, and then somebody tells you, become a doctor, become a lawyer, and then you get an ego that I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. You form all of your ego formats based on everything you've gone through in this world. And the ego is a whole curriculum.
Ego is basically an amalgamation of all of your experiences on earth that are based on trauma. So let's say if your father talks down to you and you become very weak because of that, you become like a doormat for others, then that becomes part of your ego. Your weakness is not your divine power. You're not in your divine power. But let's say someone else in your sibling, for example, your father talks down to them and they develop a strong personality, like, I'm not going to stand for this. So instead of being weak, another person may become like a narcissist and say, I'm going to also talk down to others because that makes me feel powerful. So that's another ego imbalance. So all of our traumas make our personality not divine in like 1,001 ways. And all of the amalgamation of all of your traumas and your quirks that are not divine, that make you overreact, that make you create false stories, that make you feel like you're not loved, that make you feel like you're not worthy, you're not good enough, or that makes you overpower people because you were overpowered as a child. All of these imbalances, narcissism, weaknesses, addictions, all of these imbalances, escapism,
resistance.
Yeah, all of this is like your ego personality. And you have to you have to harmonize your ego personality in order to ascend to your higher self. And that's the process we're explaining now.
And harmonizing the ego is a big curriculum. It could take you 5 years. It could take you 10 years. It could take you the whole lifetime. But we are speaking to those of you who are Ascension students and we want to give you guys the whole path because that is what we are here for. We as a soul, this is when you start understanding why you're here, everything will begin to shift. You're not here to be successful and buy a house with a white picket fence and have 10 dogs and be a nice person and constantly help people and do charity. Those are all the byproducts of who you become. But the fundamental reason you, me, any soul is here on this planet, even though many people have forgotten this, is for one thing and one thing only. And that is to evolve the soul. So every lifetime, you're evolving your soul one step at a time. So with that in mind, and the fact that you've now exited this innocence of a child, because there's no way you can hold on to this innocence in a 3D matrix that's constantly bombarding you with fear, guilt, You call your mom and she guilt trips you saying, you haven't called for so long. So you're like,
Expectations.
you're constantly living in these expectations and you shut off your light. And you become an ego, which is you put on all the masks that people need to see to be a nice person, to be a sweet person, to be a strong person, to be a consistent person, to be a loving person. These are all masks.
Be a good husband, a good wife, a good student.
So all these masks, if you ask me what has to happen to go from ego to oversoul embodiment, this is what has to happen. So you become an ego. The first step is you have to completely harmonize the ego, heal the ego. Once you do that,
and we'll teach that in future videos.
And basically what harmonizing the ego means, and we're going to go into all of this. Today we have an hour, so we'll go step by step. But harmonizing the ego literally means you have to let go of anything, any attachments. Harmonizing the ego literally means you have to go through an initiation that we call, and I'm going to show you this. This is actually a very big circle. But if I had to tell you how small this circle actually is, it's this small. And you know what this is? This is the eye of the needle initiation that you have to go through, where your soul passes something this small. It's like the eye of the needle, and it's called the ring pass knot initiation. Both Siman and I have gone through these initiations. Siman went through it 3 years ago, and I went through it recently. So what we do is we harmonize our ego, and when it is time, the soul literally flies through. It's like a consciousness flying. It's a very effortless raise in consciousness where it has to move through the ring pass knot, which is literally as small as this little circle. Nothing can go through this ring pass knot other than the soul. Meaning you can't take your ego with you. You can't take your fears with you. You can't take your multi-million dollars with you. You can't take your traumas with you. You can't take your desires, ambitions, goals, attachments to your family. You can't take any of that with you. All that can go through this is the pure soul, devoid of the ego personality. Now, when you go through this phase is what we call the dark night of the soul. Everybody has to go through it. Siman and I went through it. The best advice I can give you if you're going through a dark night of the soul is how you perceive it. Instead of perceiving it as a curse or, oh my God, when is this ever going to end? Siman and I am very strong in this. Siman and I are like very rooted in this. Anything that goes on in our life, we look at it as a blessing. This is happening for us. This is happening so we can get faster and faster. We can move into our oversoul embodiment faster. It's happening for us. As soon as you change your lens, that this is not hard. This is whatever it is, it's helping me jump. You make this jump much easier. So you start harmonizing your ego over 3 to 5 years. You go through a lot of ego awarenesses. You realize you're operating mainly from your head, not from your heart. Your heart's not even open. Right now, less than 0.1% of planet Earth has an open heart. Less than 0.1% of people on planet Earth right now have opened their hearts. Opening my heart, and my heart is still not fully open yet, even though I'm very open in my heart compared to others. Opening the heart is the biggest jump humanity will ever make. These multi-million dollar coaches, these multi-million dollars, these billionaires, these multi-billionaires, any coach, any healer, anybody that you've seen that has made it, they all have one thing that they have not made it in. And what is that? Anybody. I'm talking about the biggest of the biggest names on the planet. They have not activated their heart. They have not activated their higher heart's intelligence, which is completely different from the head's intelligence. We'll talk about that in a bit. So you harmonize your ego and you go through the eye of the needle initiations, which is the ring pass knot ceremony. And at that point, there is a higher self merger that many of you currently are prepped and primed for. Many of our NEM students who have been practicing everything we've taught you in the last 3 years, you guys are primed and prepped for the higher self merger. Those of you who have not received all these teachings, or you're like, hey, where are these teachings? Don't worry about it. We're actually getting all of these teachings to come up on our website soon. So whoever needs it has access to it. The higher self merger is what we call you moving from your 3D consciousness to the 5D consciousness. There's a whole list of curriculum. We won't go into that in this video because we have to talk about the oversoul architecture a bit more. Once you get into the higher self energy, the higher self frequency, God starts giving you planetary avatar initiations. These are more like tests initially to see how resilient you are, how you can show up in the thick and thin of stress? How can you show up to do God's work? So you're given a bunch of initiations. Like for us, it was our 888 Glastonbury initiation. There was another initiation Siman was given, but that was one of the worst initiations where he was really, 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 really down. And in that state of extreme fear and being extremely down and being completely targeted, in that moment, he had to say a prayer for humanity as a Christ, and he didn't know he was being initiated. And he said this prayer from his heart saying, I am currently being held here against my wish. And for every other innocent person who's being held against their wish, I say a prayer. Like he activated, and he said a prayer when he was down, when he was being really, really, this happened 3 or 4 years ago. And the Ascend Master came in and said, Siman, you have just passed the initiation, one of the major initiations that happens around here. You go through your higher self and you're now given your planetary avatar initiations. We also, Siman and I had the 888 Glastonbury initiation where we had to go to Glastonbury and remove a few implants from Stonehenge, activate a few grids and all of that. Now, once you finish all of this and you kind of gain God's trust and you seem like a stable person who can show up for herself, who loves herself, who has self-love and self-care for herself, who's done healing on herself, who's ready to now move up into new earth, that's where you then merge with your oversoul, which is your higher self's higher self. When this will happen for humanity, it's up to God. Because humanity is here. Humanity is right now. You guys are now making your jump from ego to move through the ring past not to get to your higher self. There's not enough of people here. There's very, very few people who've made this jump. Very few.
Explain some of the things we had to let go of in the ring past not initiation.
Yeah. So now that you know this whole thing, let's move into what do you need to do now? What is the curriculum to move from ego to oversoul? What is some of the curriculum that you have to go through? And these are some things you can start knocking off one by one.
Yeah. So for us personally, when we were going through the eye of the needle initiation that lasted literally for 3 years, and it was approximately from 2022 to end of last year or beginning of last year. So 2022 to beginning of 2025 was kind of like our ring past knot initiation. And in that, we had to dissolve all of our attachments to the 3D matrix. Actually, it probably started even earlier, like 2017 or so, I would say, because we had to let go of our attachments to our 3D family. We had to let go of our abusive exes, our children even, because they were not holding the same frequency. They were also taking advantage of the situation. Anyone that was not resonating with love, that did not have genuine respect for us, that did not have a the bond was not based on divinity, that was just dissolved. All relationships, friendships, blood, doesn't matter. Anything that's not based on divinity, mutual respect, and love was literally dissolved out of our life for the better. We felt very free after that. We had to cut cords with all of our old friends that no longer resonated, that were also beginning to act jealous of our success. And they were like, they looked at us going higher in consciousness, but instead of supporting us, their envy came up. So don't be surprised when you're going on your journey from your ego harmonization and you're going higher in your consciousness. Don't expect all your friends to be your cheerleader. They're probably going to feel like you're abandoning them because you may not resonate with their wavelength anymore. You may not share the same interests, and your friends, you're also more embodied. You also feel like, okay, I'm in this life for myself. I'm not here to answer every fucking phone call that somebody calls me to ask for help. So you let go of your friends. Then you have to let go of your career. You have to let go of anything that doesn't resonate. If you're just doing some matrix job just to make ends meet and you don't know which direction you're going in, and you have not yet figured out your soul's direction, what is your actual purpose for being here, and what are the gifts that you brought as your soul? What are you here to express as your divine gifts for humanity? What will you base your business on? How can you become financially free so you're not dependent on the matrix? So you have to take care of your career and finances so you're not dependent on corporations or somebody else holding you accountable to show up for them. You have to switch your inner compass, your direction in life and your career from showing up just for survival to showing up to share your gifts and just to play and to build your abundance based on you as the brand name rather than building somebody else's brand.
Let's pause here. This is one of the biggest codes we want to give you. This is such a big code. We found that we came into crossroads once we had our Oversoul merger, which is just starting to happen, by the way. So we're being told that by 2027, when we go to Egypt, we're being given a planetary mission to go to Egypt, and we're thinking of doing it in 2027. We're being told that when we're there, we're going to be at the peak of our actual Oversoul embodiment, and that is going to open up the grids of Egypt. It's going to open up the Garden of Eden frequencies for the world. And at that point, really the actual bridge to allow more of this Oversoul architecture. Now that we've done it as humans. So now more humans can access this in a faster period of time. What would take you maybe 4 lifetimes, you could probably do in the next 10 years, in the next 7 years, hopefully. So all of this is coming. But one of the immediate things that happens when the Oversoul comes online is it pushes back anything that's not in alignment. It pushes back your need for perfectionism. It pushes your need to show up on social media to get validation from your audience. Anything that's not in alignment, like if you're showing up because you feel like you have to show up to fill a need of survival
or obligation,
like I have to show up to do God's work. I have to show up to help these people. I have to show up to help humanity. In our 3D phase, we could easily show up like that. Like we could easily show up with all these, like a lot of coaches, mind-based coaches, they're like, come on, you got to show up for humanity. Yes, you can go. We reached a wall. Because at some point, just showing up for humanity, just showing up to do God's work is no longer, once the Oversoul comes in, you are no longer doing it for anybody else. Because when you do it for someone else, you will stay stuck. So if you're someone who hasn't started your social media channel, if you're someone who cannot speak up to your family and say, hey, enough is enough, I will not take your abuse. Or speak up to your children saying, hey, just because you're my teenage children doesn't mean I'm going to allow you to walk all over me. These are my rules and these are my limits. You staying in my house, you better respect my rules. You being able to hold that frequency with whether it's your mother, your partner, and break all your codependencies with people. All of that starts to happen very fast. And you realize this is the code that God gave us that has set us free, completely free. This is the best code I've ever received from anyone. And that is EldoRa Siman. The only way you can actually move towards a full-blown Oversoul merger is if you stop doing it for humanity. You stop, because ultimately what happens is you do so much for humanity, and then humanity stabs you in the back. Humanity doesn't have gratitude. Humanity can barely say thank you, writing a comment. And so all these things start saying, why the fuck am I doing this for humanity? Like these people, they don't even have their basic manners. They shit on me, they like to write comments, and then the ones who really love me don't even comment. So all these things come up. And so when the Oversoul comes in, this is what I went through. You start feeling so happy and held by God's frequency that you say, I don't want to show up for humanity. This is me after walking my path for so many years. I don't want to show up for humanity. So God's saying to all of us, the reason you're not able to show up for humanity is because you're doing it for humanity.
As an obligation.
As an obligation. Instead, do it for yourself. Think of yourself as a sovereign being of light and say, I'm done playing small. I'm done keeping myself stuck in this, not starting my business, not taking my training, not activating my healer timeline, not doing anything, because all these limiting beliefs are constantly keeping me stuck. I'm in my ego, but I'm just letting all of this go. Like you really have to start moving into deriving pleasure. And that's why we're talking so much about pleasure these days. It's the biggest code God's giving us. You get pleasure by showing up for yourself. This is the biggest code. You stop doing it for others and you start doing it for yourself. This is one of the basic architectural blueprints of an oversoul merger. You stop doing it to impress people. You stop showing up for validation. You stop showing up to have 100 companies to show that you're a multi-billionaire. But you say, hey, what works for me? This works for me. All right, I'm going to show up because I'm doing this for myself. I'm here to leave a legacy. I know that I'm here to build an empire. I know it. I know it in my bones. I'm here to build an empire. The only way I can do that is if I do it for myself. And it's not selfish. Most people say, ooh, she said herself. Maybe that's selfish. God's teaching us the trap is that you're made to feel like you have to do it for others. And the oversoul comes in, guys, and the oversoul is no bullshit. The oversoul is like, we have work to do. We know where we're going. Don't get attached to these humans who are following you, or don't get attached to these. Everybody has to go at their own speed. You're just holding the frequency and you're going higher and higher.
Yeah, exactly. So the process that EldoRa is describing right now is something that eventually people who stay on their ascension path and merge with their higher self and then even go higher, they pass the initiations of the higher self and then they begin their merger with their oversoul. You guys, many of you are very fanatic about your ascension. You take your evolution very seriously, and that's why you subscribe to us, because we have dedicated our lives to the Christed path, to the ascension path. And the process that EldoRa is describing right now is something we recently went through, is that when your oversoul merger begins, oversoul is the higher self of the higher self. When your oversoul merger begins, when you've passed all the ego initiations, when you've passed all the higher self initiations, when God begins to contact you directly, when you're being given your planetary missions, like we're being given our mission to go to Egypt, and we've done Glastonbury, we've done great grid work with hundreds of people from all over the world, and we're literally shifting timelines for humanity with our prayers and with our magic. So this is very real work, and this comes with responsibility. It comes with self-awareness. So at this point, and the oversoul level, your consciousness reaches such a high point when you're merging with God and interfacing with God that your existence becomes bliss. Okay? When you're beginning to communicate with God, when your consciousness has broken the barrier even beyond 5D, going into 6D and higher, when you're connecting through the tree of life with all the dimensions, you don't, once you go past the fifth dimension, you don't just linearly go up. Once you go past the fifth dimension, you connect with all the dimensions, all the way up to the throne of God. And you begin to become aware of universal consciousness. And that phase is so blissful, like literally your initiation becomes to hold that bliss frequency in your body, in your life, in your daily existence. Literally your cells will be vibrating with excitement and joy because of the Kundalini energy rising, because of the inspiration coming. But it becomes so blissful that your challenge becomes to come back to distribute this knowledge and to serve humanity. To come back from the bliss becomes the oversoul's initiation.
Holy shit. And it is not easy,
It's not
you
easy,
guys.
We're
I
in
went
that
through it
bliss
today.
frequency right now.
Why do you think
we're
I'm
even showing up for this YouTube video as part of our initiation, to be honest?
I didn't think today. I
we
thought
had
I
to
would
literally
fail.
We had to.
You were okay. Come on. He was okay. He's so sweet. He got me out.
No, but I've been through similar initiations.
Today he
That's why I'm
dragged
saying
me
that.
out to
Today
this
was
video.
more EldoRa's initiation, but
God.
I've been through this myself, where you're in this like la la land. You're literally
we did. Okay, let me explain.
I don't know how to explain it.
2 days ago, we did our Metatronic heaters training. It was our first training. It was a full day, 7-hour training. So Saturday, we've done that. Another thing that's happening with this oversoul coming on is God saying, okay, as soon as the oversoul came on, our nervous system started panicking. Like, whoa, I don't want to do so much. I can't do so much because you're unplugged from survival stress. You've made it big. You have money. So what's causing you to go to work?
There's literally nothing forcing you to work.
Why do you have to work?
You're only showing up as an oversoul out of pure joy and willingness to play.
So yesterday...
It's not even, you can't even show up forced like with your willpower. You can't even show up like that. You have to show up in play, and it has to be downhill.
It has to be natural. You can't fake it.
Otherwise, your soul can't stand showing up. Your soul will like cringe.
So 2 days ago, we rocked the Metatronic healing. And yesterday, Siman's like, let's make this video. I'm like, fuck no, I need a day off. So we took the whole day off. We just played the fool. We didn't, like, I literally love those days where I don't take a shower. I'm like, it's my day. It's like my Sunday. When I don't take a shower on Sunday, it's my Sunday. So I had that kind of a Sunday, and I thought, okay, great. Today I'll be ready to make a video about Oversoul. Today I'm like, oh my God, who wants to go make an Oversoul? Because tomorrow now God's given us another directive. He wants us to start talking and building a 5D community online. So tomorrow we have a morning meeting at 12 o'clock. We have a consultant with someone to build a community. Like, we're brainstorming all kinds of things that God's telling us. And then already next Saturday is Metatronic Healers Academy. We have to prepare for that in today's video.
And we're shopping around for quotes for Egypt.
So it's like so much going on. And we're like, hey, we thought we're letting NEMS go and we'll be all free to do anything the fuck we want. We're not free, still not free.
Exactly.
God's saying, we're now training your nervous systems to expand and expand and expand and expand to the point, because you're here to build your empire. You're not here to play small. Like, we know where we're going. And the way you get there is not by impressing your audience, not by showing up for your audience, but by showing up for yourself. So today's initiation for me was very hard, you guys. I had so much ego resistance to show up. I was like, I don't know what an oversoul is. I don't know what to talk about. I'm not able to describe what's happening to me. I'm sorry, Siman, I cannot do this. Please make this video yourself. And he's like, no, we're doing this because it's your initiation.
We're doing this.
Thank you, baby.
We're doing this because this is part of our embodiment process.
I do this for him too sometimes.
Okay. I have to explain this initiation properly because this is getting deep now. Okay. This is the initiation, guys. When we say you have to surrender, when we say you have to become like a leaf, you have to align your will with divine will. The ascension process is when you let go of your ego's willpower and you align with your higher self. You align with God, and you are in a co-creation with God. Like, God can say, plant a crystal near this river, but he won't force you, but he'll suggest it, saying, you know what, this is where you do it. Plant a crystal near this river. You might have to go out of your way. You might have to overcome your resistance. You might be having a picnic, but it's a little bit of giving. But this is the thing. When you're becoming an oversoul, you have to not just surrender like a leaf in the river. Sometimes you're floating in like a yin-like state. You're filling up your cup. God's sending you love. God's sending you healing. And we have certain breathing techniques where we fill up our cup. We fill up our tensions. So surrendering to God, this is the main Christ consciousness teaching I want you guys to take away today. This is the most important thing you'll take away. Surrendering to God does not always mean being yin and feminine.
Oh my God, guys.
Surrendering
you
to
heard
God
that?
means
I wish we could just say,
half
we're
masculine,
in God.
half feminine.
Yes.
Sometimes surrendering to God means you let go of your structures and you go in your meditation and you receive from God and you get inspired. You
lie
fill
under
up your cup.
You lie under the
But
tree,
then
you get sun, which
the
we all
other
like.
half of surrender is showing up.
That's the masculine.
There's also an architecture built within your life that is threaded by your oversoul, that is threaded by your higher self, that requires you to show up for certain things. For everyone, that list may be different, but there is a divine curriculum that you must show up for, whether it's showing up on social media, whether it's showing up for your business, whether it's just showing up for your clients, whatever you do, however you add value, you do it from a place of complete play. It's completely effortless because it's fully aligned with your joy and excitement.
Which is how we made the jump.
Exactly.
You see how I made the jump today? I had this ego resistance of showing up. Siman and I go through this quite often. Like we said, somebody asked a very important question. They said, you still have ego resistance? Because we're talking about Christ consciousness. We're talking about oversoul. Absolutely. So right now, the way it's happening is the oversoul is literally trying to come in. Parts of it are coming in. Parts of it are already activated, and a lot more has to come.
Jamie said we're still showing up for God, but that's not true. We're not showing up for God. That's the main point. We're showing up for ourselves, you guys. the main illusion that light workers have to let go of is that you're showing up for God. God doesn't need anything from you.
God's not a dictator.
God does not need you to evolve or ascend. God will be fine if you never ascend.
That's just
God
how
forbid,
religion.
But yeah, exactly. God does not need you to ascend.
God doesn't need you to do
ascend.
anything.
And you show up, you go through initiations, you let go of your attachments to 3D because it's helping you become more of your higher self, more of your highest potential. You're only expanding your own abundance, your own reach, your own joy, your own connection with divine. God is only a giving energy. God does not need anything from you. So that clarification is very important.
And I say this with all my love. One of the biggest things that I noticed, this was the biggest, and many of you may be hitting this with your own social media. You guys are growing so fast that all of a sudden you're looking at your social media and you're saying, holy shit, there's a big gap. I don't even know where to start. That's been another thing that's happened since this oversoul. Suddenly the consciousness expands so much and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit. The children, the rainbow children who can understand, the ego starts going crazy. Like, oh, the rainbow children who can understand our Christed frequencies are not here. And our audience is going to take so much longer to make these jumps. So like all these ego things come up. Like, where are the children? Where are our students? And all of these initiations we have to go through. And one of the things I want to say to you, because I felt a little bit of energy of like, with some of the comments like, oh, you still have ego? Guys, I have to tell you, this is something very important for most of you to understand, to even start the journey. To even start the journey, you have to be very serious about where you are right now. You guys right now have to go from this, through this, to higher self, into all of this. And maybe if you pass this, maybe if you pass the higher self, not every single one of you is going to pass this phase. And please don't hate me for it, but I'm telling you this so that you can get off your arrogance, get off your lack of humility, and actually get to work and make this jump. Most of humanity is sitting on their arrogant asses saying, oh, ego, gosh, I'm busy making money, or I'm busy, I'm blowing up on social media. You're blowing up on social media, your money, your success. All of this could be your biggest curse as a soul. As your soul wants you to constantly keep going up and showing up authentically. So for those of you who are still not even wanting to look at your ego, you guys haven't even started your journey yet. This journey begins only when you can be...
It's very subtle.
And it's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of curriculum. My goodness, with the oversoul trying to come in, more ego resistance is the biggest thing.
Ego resistance keeps on going, even with a higher self merger, even with the oversoul embodiment. It just gets more and more subtle.
So let's talk a little bit about, and then we'll wrap up, what drives you? What drives you once you merge with an oversoul? What are some other frequencies or teachings we want to share? One of the things that happens right away is you're no longer endlessly chasing money. You're no longer, because every soul reaches a point where they're endlessly chasing money or endlessly chasing some dream.
Or fitness.
Literally, this is all the stuff God's teaching us. He says you don't have to be so perfect in your body that you're going to the gym 5 times a week, because that's going to become your ego. Because you're going to say, I look so hot, I must be really spiritual. Now let me go and shape my body so much that now my body is becoming my personality, that I can show people that... My trophy becomes my body. All these certifications I take, I'm going to put them on my wall and they all become my trophies. What's happening right now is you guys, I'm giving you guys the cheat sheet. All attachments to trophies, titles, achievements, anything that is not like you're being asked to stand naked as a soul and saying, I'm ready to be humble. I'm ready to be in my humility and let go of everything that's not serving me and move through this. And I'm enough of the bullshit. And you're no longer in a constant race towards achievements. You're no longer constantly trying to fill a void. Like, be honest, most of you live your life thinking, life's great, but I'm not that. I still have that. I haven't achieved that yet. I haven't done that yet. Damn, one day I'll do that and I'll be good. And what God's saying and what this oversoul merger is forcing us to come to terms with is, I am good now. I am good now. I don't have to be something, prove something, impress something, use my head to make up 5-step formulas to become famous with this. God's saying all you have to do is become nothing.
Exactly.
All you have to do is move into nothingness. So
And
the
this
ego dissolves into nothingness. You might ask me what happens, and nobody on earth is teaching this. So this is the kind of information that you need to retrieve in your memory so that it doesn't dissipate. The ego, where does the ego go? This is very deep. You might think that you are EldoRa. You are a spiritual teacher. You are an ascension person. You are this, you are that. You have millions in your bank. Or you are poor, you have nothing. Or you're a bachelor in science, or you're a lawyer. All these things have to be stripped off you. You remember I told you about this phase, dark night of the soul, and the ring past not initiations? This is very hard for those people who are very attached to looking a certain way, putting
Or
on
status.
an image or a status symbol. Everything has to go. Literally, like bare. You have to stand bare, naked. Just your soul, just your innocence that can go through. And so God's teaching us, once your ego is ready to be harmonized, it's not like you have to become more and more and more good, more mechanical, more technical. You have to learn more about the law of one. You have to
And-
memorize the whole book of Enoch. No.
I also wanted to add to this point that this endless chasing of healing and self-improvement can also become your ego's trap. And this is something light workers need to become aware of. Okay? Your personal development, your ego harmonization, your trauma healing, your shadow work can also become your noose if that becomes your only goal. Because people who start chasing self-improvement like it's an endless series of titles, like your PhDs and your masters and all your titles, even your healing can become like a need of the ego. And if you keep on wanting to heal something, you're going to keep on seeing another higher layer to achieve. That becomes like your ego's badge of honor. Oh my God, I've done human design. I've done this. I've done that. I know all of these modalities. I've done shadow work. Well, then if that's the path you're on, you literally can spend your entire lifetime doing shadow work, but not ascend. The point is to ascend.
So powerful.
The point is to let go and accept yourself as you are today. Your oversoul does not need you to be perfect. Your ego needs you to be perfect. And your ego will always tell you, I'm not ready yet. It will always tell you, I still have this, and this to let go of. To be honest, it can happen in this in a split second, in the blink of an eye. You can just drop your ego right now by accepting yourself utterly. Fat, bald, unattractive, attractive, whatever.
Fat,
Doesn't
thin.
matter. Doesn't matter what your color is, what you look like.
You could have
You
slept
don't
with
have-
25,000
doesn't matter
women
if you're
or men.
fit, if you're unfit. You might see some ascended masters that are like 400 pounds and they haven't they don't have shredded abs. Like, how are they ascended masters? You might have seen them, right? You even see their statues in some
Because
Chinese
they
ascended
heal
masters.
shame.
Because they've accepted themselves. They've said, my struggle ends now. I'm no longer in the struggle.
And I'm no longer...
That's what it means to reach samadhi. It means you're no longer in a struggle.
And you're no longer in the cage of your mind. Because ultimately, the only thing that's keeping you locked in this third dimensional cage is just one thing. It's your mind. Your mind's needs are getting out of control. So what God has taught us, and it's liberated us, this has been the ultimate liberation, is when we were reaching at the boiling point of our ego harmonization. And Siman and I have, when we say we fully harmonized our ego, we actually mean it. Other than these minor ego resistances that come up, we have got to a point where our ego can no longer take us off our divine path. And that's a very, very big accomplishment. It took us like 5 years. It took me 5 years with exceptional mentorship from the angels and Siman for both of us to make these jumps. It wasn't easy. Another thing that happens when this quantum, like when this oversoul merger happens, is your patterns in life, this is happening to us very actively right now, your patterns completely change. So you're not trackable by AI. You're not trackable by the system.
You're not predictable.
You're not predictable. You've exited the matrix vibrationally, because the way it works is humans are very predictable. That's how the matrix is run. The negative Anunnaki, they know that humans are very predictable. They know how humans think, how they respond to fear, how they respond to mass programming. One of the things that has happened to us is we've completely become spontaneous. Like today, we didn't even make an announcement. 8:15 p.m., we showed up for a live.
And we've let go of our thumbnails.
No thumbnails, because it was getting ridiculous. Send the graphic designer the thumbnail, and
Choose
then
the title.
we're like, who wants to do all this shit? Like, you design the thumbnail, then I don't like the design, then change the design. We're like, no thumbnails. We're just going to show up. And
We're like an open tap now.
and we don't care about virality. We're not trying to impress, because these are all the frequencies of the ego.
We're not trying to hook people. We're just showing up in service.
We're saying whoever wants to come to us, you find us. We're not going to chase you. You like us, you stay. You don't like us, you're welcome to leave. Come back later when you like us. Guys, we feel free. So you become unpredictable. You become spontaneous. Your patterns cannot be tracked.
Because you're operating through the voice of God, through the heart of God. You're literally an instrument of God in each moment. And being an oversoul literally means that you are in a present moment embodiment, and you're spontaneously reacting to life moment by moment. Even you cannot predict what's going to happen next.
And because of that, your life literally becomes like a perfect masterpiece where you're stroking the strokes of God. What do I mean by this? Okay, so what did I just say? Your life becomes a masterpiece where every stroke is made by God. Siman and I are living through and embodied in this 100%. What do I mean by this? 2 days ago, we moved into this house. On Thursday, actually. On Thursday morning, we don't do anything unless it's directed by God. Because otherwise, who's going to do land healing every day, right? We just wait for them to tell us do it now. We were under the fire, whatever. It was so beautiful. And we got the instruction saying, now's the time you do I was just saying my goodbye to my old house and giving it gratitude and like talking to the tree. And the guide said, do a land healing ceremony right now. So we did a land healing ceremony. We took some stupid reel on our phone just quickly. We put it up on social media. And people were like, we felt the energy. We feel the energy. It's so simple. God's frequency is very simple. You have to have the faculty to recognize it, because otherwise you'll be like, oh, it's not potent and powerful and viral. And we're not trying to create. We're not trying to impress. So what we're doing is we're giving you all the codes to let go of these egoic frequencies, trying to prove yourself. And even me, like how I showed up today, I had resistance. I overcame the resistance. I made the jump, and I am proud of it. I make these kind of jumps all the time. I'm not free of ego resistance, you guys. Neither is Siman.
No one is. Even ascended masters have an ego. They've just learned how to tame it.
We've learned how to tame it. We've learned how to watch it. And your first step, which begins here, which already our New Earth Mystery School students are fully exploring, because we've fully exposed them to the ego. And we're going to release this in a masterclass in a couple of weeks, the Ultimate Ego Masterclass. You can stay on our website and you'll see it when it comes up. Or just even better, just add yourself to our mailing list. You just go to www.nems.love, which is nems.love/subscribe. You'll see the thing to subscribe to our email address. So you guys are here and you have to go through all of this very fast. And I am really, really excited for you.
Things are changing on this planet very fast, you guys. And it's exciting as well as scary. And we've honestly never been at a point in our history where we've seen so much rapid change and evolution going on around us. And it can be a lot to handle. It can literally leave you not wanting to be on Earth. It can bring up resistance. It can bring up your deepest shadows. But honestly, our intention today was to give you a map that if you are going through all these challenges, struggles, like we showed on the map, the eye of the needle, and letting go of all your attachments and going through the dark night of the soul, all of this seems like a never-ending challenge, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. It becomes extremely blissful. You gain this state of abundance and freedom. You literally raise your consciousness to a level where you feel supported by the universe, money flows in abundantly, you're held by divine bliss, you are freed of obligations, you feel the need to align more with showing up with your soul's joy and purpose and excitement and play and life. You just let go of work. You just become an instrument of God in play. That's the
Bingo.
Garden of Eden frequency.
It's not planning. It's not
It's not
obsessing.
obligation.
There's
It's
no
just
perfectionism. It's just flow and it's play.
It's yin and yang, but it's always you're in sync with the divine clock. You've left the linear clock.
Homework time. This just came through, okay? I haven't given this any thought. Homework time. For those of you who have been resisting showing up on your social media, for those of you who are still not able to find your voice, recently in our one-on-one sessions in the Metatronic Healers Academy, there was this one girl who was partnered with another girl, and this other girl's mic had a crazy echo. Like she was calling in the Metatronic temple and she's like, I call forth the Pleiadian emissaries, I call forth the temple from the throne of God. And as she was saying it, it was echoing. Like, I call forth the temple, I call forth the temple, I call forth the It was echoing. And I was in this breakout session watching these two girls interact with this healing. And it was the first class. We were just setting up a temple. This girl's whole curriculum is to open up her throat. She's already a Metatronic healer. She has to say, hey, I can't do this with your voice echoing 5 times. This is ridiculous. We got to stop. I would stop that lady, right? She just sat there and she kept taking it because she has not opened her voice. And guide said to me, don't interfere. It's not your battle. Get out of this breakout room and let her open up her own. And she knows who she is. So when she watches this, she's going to be like, thank you, EldoRa. So your homework is, if you've been sitting down and shy to show up for yourself, really start showing up, guys. What's blocking you from showing up and expanding? Like, think about it this way. In this world, your social media is like your business card. You're either a boring as fuck person who has no social identity, nothing, like you have nothing, or nobody is looking at your money or whatever anymore. It's all about who you are. Like if you go on social media, you'll realize where you have blocks. You'll realize where you're shy. You'll realize where you don't respect yourself. You'll realize most of all where you're insecure. Your insecurities will come up. Like, oh my God, she said something about me now. Oh my God. If somebody said something about you, that reflects more about the other person. So if somebody is attacking me, I'm literally thinking, I send them compassion. I can see they're in a low vibration. Not that, oh shit, she said something to me. Now I have to accept it that I'm a bad person. I know who the fuck I am. So guys, I feel like your homework literally needs to be, where are you playing small? Where are you trying to impress?
Where are you holding yourself back?
Where are you chasing unnecessary goals that are not even needed? Where are you driving yourself crazy thinking I have to be this and do that and achieve that to be acceptable by something or someone? And instead, why don't you just say, I fucking accept myself right now. I'm done with this rat race. I accept myself right now. And from this point on, I show up in life for myself. I show up in life for myself. And once you do that, you feel, holy shit, now there's no burden on my shoulders. Let's get to work. Let's create. Let's do God's work. Let's do my work. Let's do planetary work. Let's do everything. Let's open up everything because there's no burden.
You get out of your own way.
And it's the most freeing thing, and everything becomes play. You're just playing. You're playing and playing. And as you play, money pours in.
And you don't need all the answers in each moment. You just need to know your next step. You just need to know, this is what I need to do next, whether it's investing in a course for yourself, whether it's showing up on social media, whether it's getting over your resistance and blocks to doing something that's good for you, or letting go of an addiction. All of these things are showing up for yourself.
Letting go of codependency.
Getting out of your comfort zone is showing up for yourself. Doing what's good for you is showing up for yourself.
Yes. I love that. Awesome, you girls and boys and beautiful people. Thank you for sharing this energy with us. I did it. I did it.
We showed up for ourselves.
You know, just
our homework's done.
20 minutes ago, I said to Siman, before this video, I said to Siman, baby, thank you so much for helping me get out of my ego resistance. And he's like, it's not done yet. The initiation hasn't been passed yet.
She could have shut the laptop
I was
halfway.
so flying, like, hey, I passed my... He's like, you still have to make the video. So I did it. It was hard. Today was hard.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do anything. Just lie in bed. I want to watch a show on my TV, whatever. Now I can go
But it
watch my
really
show.
filled our hearts being with you guys, and we are very grateful for your love and support
We
and your
love
comments.
you. Yes.
And we feel all your comments and we feel your
Aw.
support. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that, you guys. Thank you for making our showing up so pleasurable to us as well, even though we
Yeah.
didn't have that intention. Sending you all our love. Bye now.
Take care, everyone.